Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the research ship New Horizon, watching the stars through the main window. The deep space around them was quiet and peaceful. His 8-year-old daughter Emma sat in the corner, drawing pictures of the planets they had seen during their journey. "Dad, look at this one," Emma said, holding up her drawing. It showed a purple planet with 3 moons. "I made it extra pretty with the rings around it." Jake smiled and walked over to look at her. "Artwork. That's beautiful, sweetheart. You're getting really good at drawing planets." Emma beamed with pride. She had been living on the ship with her father for 2 years now, ever since her mother died. Jake could not leave her with anyone else, and she loved traveling through space with him. The crew had become like family to her. "Captain, we're approaching." "The Kepler 442 system," said Amy Chun from the communication station. She was a young woman with short black hair who always spoke in a calm voice. "All sensors are working fine. No other ships in the area." "Good," Jake said. "Lisa, how are the engines running?" Chief Engineer Lisa Brooks looked up from her control panel. She was a tall woman with red hair who knew everything about keeping the ship running. "All systems are green, Captain. We're ready for the survey mission." Dr. Ryan Parker, the ship's medical officer, walked onto the bridge carrying a cup of coffee. He was a middle-aged man with gray hair and kind eyes. "Emma, don't forget to eat your lunch later. Growing kids need good food." "I will, Dr. Parker." Emma said, "Can I help you in the medical bay later? I want to learn how to help people." "Of course you can. You're my best assistant," Ryan said with a smile. The New Horizon was a small research ship with only 4 adult crew members plus Emma. They traveled to different star systems to study planets and collect information for Earth's space program. It was not exciting work, but it was important for learning about the galaxy. "Beginning scan of the outer planets," Lisa announced. "Wait, I'm getting some strange readings." Jake moved to her station. "What kind of readings?" "There's some sort of energy field about 2 million kilometers ahead. It's not showing up on our star charts. It looks like a space anomaly." "Is it dangerous?" Jake asked. "I don't think so. It's just ... unusual. The energy patterns are unlike anything I've seen before." Jake thought for a moment. Their job was to investigate unusual things in space. "Set course for the anomaly. We'll take a closer look." "Course set," Amy said. "We should reach it in about 30 minutes." Emma put down her drawing and walked over to the big window. "What's an anomaly?" "Dad, it's something in space that doesn't belong there," Jake explained. "Like finding a rock in a place where there should only be empty space. Can we see it?" "Not yet, but we will soon." The ship moved closer to the strange energy field. Lisa watched her instruments carefully. The readings are getting stronger. "Whatever this thing is, it's big." "On screen," Jake ordered. The main screen showed a swirling mass of blue and white energy. It looked like a small storm made of light, spinning slowly in the darkness of space. "It's beautiful," Emma said. "It sure is," Jake agreed, "but we need to be careful. Amy, start recording everything. Earth will want to see this." Recording started. "Captain," Lisa frowned at her readings. "Captain, the energy field is affecting our instruments. I'm getting interference on several systems." "Should we back away?" Jake asked. "I think we're okay for now, but we shouldn't get too close." Suddenly, the ship shook slightly. Emma grabbed her father's arm. "What was that?" "Just a little space turbulence," Jake said. "Nothing to worry about," but Lisa's face showed concern. "Captain, the anomaly's pulling us in. Our engines are fighting against some kind of gravitational force." "Increase power to the engines," Jake ordered. "I'm trying, but it's not working." The pull is getting stronger. The ship shook again, harder this time. Emma's drawings scattered across the floor. "All hands, secure everything. Jake announced over the ship's communication system. "We're experiencing some rough space." Amy grabbed her console as the ship rocked back and forth. "Captain, I'm losing contact with Earth. The energy field is blocking our signals." "Dad, I'm scared," Emma said, holding tight to her father's arm. "It's going to be okay, sweetheart. We've handled tough situations before." Lisa's voice was urgent now. "Captain, I can't break free from the pull. We're being dragged into the anomaly." The ship lurched forward suddenly. Everyone on the bridge was thrown against their stations. Emma fell to the floor, and Jake quickly helped her up. "Emergency power to the engines," Jake shouted. "I'm giving her everything we have," Lisa replied. "But it's not enough." The energy field grew larger on the screen as they were pulled toward it. The blue and white swirls moved faster, creating a hypnotic pattern. "Hold on, everyone," Jake warned. The ship entered the edge of the anomaly. Immediately, all the lights flickered. Sparks flew from several control panels. The ship spun like a toy in a whirlpool. "We're losing power on decks 2 and 3, Lisa reported. "Engines are overloading." A loud bang echoed through the ship, followed by the sound of metal breaking. The lights went out completely, leaving only the emergency lighting. "What happened?" Jake asked. "Main power conduit just exploded," Lisa said. "We're running on backup power only." Emma screamed. Jake turned to see her on the floor, not moving. A piece of metal from the damaged power conduit had hit her in the head. Blood was spreading across the floor. "Emma!" Jake dropped to his knees beside his daughter. "Ryan, get over here now." Dr. Parker was already moving, grabbing his medical bag. "Don't move her," he said. "Let me check her first." Jake's hands shook as he watched Ryan examine Emma. Her eyes were closed, and she was breathing very slowly. "How bad is it?" Jake asked. Ryan's face was serious. "She has a severe head injury. I need to get her to the medical bay immediately." "Will she be okay?" "I'll do everything I can, Jake, but I need better equipment than what I have here." Lisa's voice interrupted them. "Captain, we're through the anomaly, but we have bigger problems. The engines are completely dead. We're drifting in space with no power." Jake looked at his unconscious daughter, then at his crew. They were lost in space with a dying child and no way to call for help. "Get Emma to the medical bay," he said quietly. "Amy, try to get the emergency beacon working. Lisa, see what you can do about the engines." As Ryan carefully lifted Emma and carried her away, Jake stared out at the unknown stars around them. He had never felt so alone and helpless in his life. The new horizon drifted silently through the darkness, carrying a desperate father and his dying daughter into the vast emptiness of space. Commander Vex Corvain stood tall on the bridge of his warship, the crystalline Blade. His insect-like body was covered in a hard, crystal shell that reflected the light from the ship's controls. His forearms moved quickly over different panels. As he studied the battle reports, the Zephyrians had been fighting the Krillian Empire for over 200 years. Both sides had forgotten why the war started, but neither would give up. Corvain had spent his whole life as a soldier, and he was very good at his job. "Commander, we have detected an unknown signal," said his communications officer, Zira Voss. She was smaller than Corvain, with bright blue crystal skin and large compound eyes. "It appears to be a distress call. From the Krillians?" Corvain asked. "No, sir. The signal is different. It's not using Krillian technology." Corvain's antennae twitched with curiosity. "Show me." The main screen displayed the signal information. Corvain studied it carefully. The patterns were unlike anything he had seen before. "This is strange," he said. "The signal is very simple, almost primitive. But it's clearly asking for help. Should we investigate?" Zira asked. Corvain thought about it. They were in the middle of enemy territory, hunting Krillian ships. Following an unknown signal could be dangerous, but something about the desperate tone of the transmission made him curious. Set course for the signal source, he decided, but keep our weapons ready. Meanwhile, on the other side of the star system, Battlelord Thane Drakmor received the same signal on his Krillian warship, the Iron Fang. Drakmor was a massive reptile-like creature with thick armor plates covering his green skin. His yellow eyes glowed as he examined the strange transmission. "What do you think this is?" he asked his second-in-command, Locke Venthera. Venthera was smaller than Drakmor, but just as fierce, with sharp claws and teeth. "Unknown, Battlelord. The signal is not from any technology we recognize. It could be a Zephyrian trap." Drakmor growled softly. "Or it could be something new, something worth investigating." The Krillians were warriors, but they were also curious about new technology. Any unknown signal might lead to weapons or information they could use against their enemies. "Follow the signal," Drakmor ordered, "but be ready for battle." Both alien fleets moved toward the source of the distress call. Neither knew that the other was also responding to the same signal. On the new horizon, Captain Jake Morrison sat beside his daughter's bed in the medical bay. Emma had not woken up since the accident. Dr. Parker worked constantly, using every piece of medical equipment they had, but nothing seemed to help. "How is she?" Jake asked for the 100th time. Ryan looked tired and worried. "Her brain is swelling from the injury. I've given her medicine to help, but she needs surgery that I can't perform here. Our medical bay just isn't equipped for this kind of brain operation." Jake felt his heart break a little more. "How long does she have? Maybe a few hours." "Maybe. Less." Amy Chun's voice came over the communication system. "Captain, I got the emergency beacon working. It's broadcasting our location and that we need help." "Good work," Jake replied. "Any chance someone will hear it? In this part of space?" "Probably not. We're too far from any human colonies." Jake closed his eyes and tried not to cry. His little girl was dying, and there was nothing he could do to save her. Lisa Brooks appeared in the doorway. "Captain, I have good news and bad news about the engines." "Tell me." "The good news is that I can fix them. The bad news is that it will take at least 6 hours, maybe more." Jake looked at Emma's pale face. "She doesn't have 6 hours. I know." "I'm sorry, Jake." Suddenly, Amy's voice came over the speakers again, but this time she sounded excited and scared. "Captain, you need to get to the bridge right now. We have company." Jake kissed Emma's forehead and ran to the bridge. When he got there, he could not believe what he saw on the main screen. 2 massive warships were approaching from different directions. One ship was white and blue, covered in crystal-like structures that sparkled in the starlight. The other was dark green and black, with armor plating and weapon systems that looked very dangerous. "What are those?" Jake asked. "I think they're alien ships," Amy said. "Both of them responded to our distress call." "Are they friendly?" "I don't know. But, Captain, I think they're enemies with each other. Look at how they're positioning themselves." Jake could see that both ships had their weapons pointed at each other, not at the new horizon. They seemed to be more worried about each other than about the small human ship. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel New Horizon. Jake, broadcast on all frequencies. We are a research ship with engine failure. We have medical emergency on board. Please help us." A few moments later, 2 different voices responded at the same time. The first voice was high and musical, like wind chimes. "This is Commander Vex Corvain of the Zephyrian Fleet. We have received your distress call." The second voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "This is Battlelord Thane Drakmor of the Krillian Empire. We detected your emergency signal. Both alien commanders paused when they heard the other's voice. Jake realized that these two species were enemies who had accidentally arrived at the same place. Thank you both for responding, Jake said carefully. We really need help. My daughter is badly hurt and dying. Our medical equipment cannot save her. There was a long silence. Jake could see both warships moving into attack positions against each other. Finally, Commander Corvain spoke. Human Captain, you should know that the Krillians are dangerous warriors. You should not trust them. Battle Lord Drakmor's voice rumbled with anger. The Zephyrians are the ones you cannot trust, human. They are deceptive and cruel. Jake felt panic rising in his chest. Instead of getting help, he had somehow gotten caught between two alien enemies who were about to start fighting. His daughter was dying, and now his whole crew might be killed in an alien battle. Please, Jake said, his voice breaking with emotion. I don't care about your war. I just want to save my little girl. She's only 8 years old. She's never hurt anyone. Please, somebody help her. The desperation in Jake's voice seemed to affect both alien commanders. The weapons on both ships stopped moving. What is wrong with your offspring? Commander Corvain asked. She has a severe brain injury. Jake explained. Our doctor says she needs surgery, but we don't have the right equipment. How long does she have? Battlelord Drakmor asked. Maybe a few hours. Both ships remained silent for a long time. Jake could imagine the alien commanders thinking about what to do. They had come to help, but now they faced their worst enemies. How could they help without starting a battle? On his ship, Commander Corvain stared at the two vessels on his screen. He had spent his life fighting Krillians. Every instinct told him to attack the enemy warship. But something about the human's plea for help touched something deep inside him. On the Iron Fang, Battlelord Drakmor felt the same conflict. The Zephyrians were his enemies, but this was not about war. This was about a parent trying to save his child. Human Captain, Corvain said slowly, what exactly does your offspring need? Jake looked at Dr. Parker, who had joined them on the bridge. Ryan stepped forward and spoke into the communication system. She needs brain surgery to reduce swelling and repair damaged tissue. We also need better life support systems to keep her stable during the operation. Both alien ships remained quiet. Jake waited, hoping that someone would be willing to help, even with their enemies so close. Finally, Commander Corvain spoke. Our medical technology might be able to help with the life support systems. A moment later, Battlelord Drakmor added, Krillian biosurgery techniques could repair the brain damage. Jake felt a spark of hope. Both aliens had something that could save Emma, but they were enemies. How could they work together? Would you be willing to help? Jake asked both commanders. The silence that followed seemed to last forever. Jake held his breath, waiting for an answer that could save his daughter's life. Commander Vex Corvain stared at the tactical display on his bridge. The Krillian warship Iron Fang hung in space like a dark threat, its weapon systems clearly visible. Every part of his military training told him to attack first and ask questions later, but the human's desperate voice kept echoing in his mind. Commander, said his medical officer, Ziravos, I have been analyzing the medical data the humans sent us. The child's injury is severe, but not hopeless. Corvain's 4 arms moved restlessly over his control panels. Can our medical technology help her? Yes, sir. Our biostabilization systems could keep her brain function stable during surgery. But Zyra paused. The actual repair work would require surgical techniques we do not possess. What kind of techniques? The kind that Krillians are famous for. Their biomanipulation abilities are far beyond ours. Corvain's antennae twitched with frustration. Of all the species in the galaxy, Why did it have to be the Krillians who had the skills to save this human child? On the Iron Fang, Battle Lord, Thane Draknor faced the same impossible situation. His chief medical officer, Locke Venthera, had just finished studying the human medical data. The child can be saved, Venthera reported, but it will require both our surgical skills and Zephyrian. Environmental controls. Draknor's claws scraped against his command chair. Explain. Human brain tissue is very delicate. I can perform the surgery to repair the damage, but the operation must be done in a perfectly controlled environment. The Zephyrians have the technology to create those conditions. We do not. So we need to work with our enemies to save one small human? That appears to be the situation, Battle Lord, Draknor growled softly. In his culture, children were sacred. Krillian warriors would die to protect any child, even one from another species. But working with Zephyrians? That seemed impossible. Back on the New Horizon, Jake Morrison watched the two alien warships through the main screen. Neither had attacked the other yet, which he took as a good sign. But they had not offered to help either. Dr. Parker stood beside him, holding a medical tablet with Emma's latest readings. Jake, her condition is getting worse. Her brain pressure is increasing. We're running out of time. Jake grabbed the communication microphone. Commander Corvain, Battle Lord Draknor, please. My daughter is dying. If you can help her, I'm begging you to try. There was a long pause before Commander Corvain responded. Human Captain, our medical officer says we can provide the environmental controls needed for brain surgery, but we cannot perform the surgery itself. Almost immediately, Battle Lord Draknor's voice followed. Our medical officer can perform the surgery, but we lack the precise environmental controls required for human physiology. Jake felt his heart race. Each alien had half of what Emma needed. Could you work together? Just this once. The silence that followed seemed to stretch forever. Jake could imagine both commanders struggling with the idea of cooperating with their worst enemies. On the crystalline blade, Commander Corvain called a meeting with his senior officers. The bridge crew gathered around him, their crystal bodies reflecting the soft blue light from the ship's controls. You all heard the situation, Corvain said. The human child can only be saved if we work with the Krillians. I want to know what you think. His weapons officer, a tall Zephyrian named Kel Nexus, spoke first. Commander, this could be a trap. The Krillians might use this as an opportunity to attack us when our defenses are down. But it's a human child, said Zeravos. She has nothing to do with our war. All the more reason to be suspicious, Kel replied. Why would the Krillians care about saving a human? Maybe for the same reason we care, said another officer. Because it's the right thing to do. Corvain listened to his crew debate. These were soldiers who had fought Krillians for years. They had seen friends die in battle against the reptilian warriors. Asking them to trust their enemies was asking a lot. I have a question, said the ship's engineer. If we don't help and the child dies, how will we feel about ourselves? Are we warriors or monsters? The bridge fell silent. Corvain realized that his crew was struggling with the same feelings he had. On the Iron Fang, Battle Lord Draknor held a similar meeting. His officers gathered in the ship's war room, their armored bodies creating an intimidating sight. The situation is clear, Draknor said. We can save the human child, but only with Zephyrian help. I want your opinions. His second-in-command, Locke Venthera, spoke first. Battle Lord, in our culture, children are sacred. It doesn't matter what species they belong to. But these are Zephyrians we're talking about, said the ship's tactical officer. They've killed thousands of our people. And we've killed thousands of theirs, Venthera replied. But this isn't about our war. This is about saving an innocent life. A young Krillian officer raised his hand. "Battlelord, I have something to say." "Speak," Drakmor ordered. "My clutch brother was killed by Zephyrians last year. I hate them as much as anyone here. But that human father's voice, it reminded me of my own father when my clutch brother was dying. No parent should have to watch their child die when help is available." The room fell quiet. Many of the officers had lost family members in the war. They understood the pain in Jake Morrison's voice. "There's something else to consider," said the ship's medical officer. "This could be a chance to show that Krillians are honorable, that we're not the monsters the Zephyrians claim we are." Drakmor nodded slowly. His crew was right. This was about more than just saving one child. This was about proving who they really were. Back on the human ship, Jake received a message from both alien commanders at the same time. "Captain Morrison," Commander Corvain said, "the Zephyrian fleet is willing to provide medical support for your daughter, but we must establish trust with the Krillians." "Captain Morrison," Battlelord Drakmor said, "the Krillian Empire will provide surgical assistance, but we need to ensure the Zephyrians will not betray us." Jake felt a spark of hope. Both sides were willing to help, but they needed to trust each other first. "What do you need from me?" Jake asked. "Your ship will serve as neutral ground," Corvain explained. "Both our medical teams will work in your medical bay. Neither fleet will attack while medical personnel are aboard your vessel." "Agreed," Drakmor said. "But we need guarantees. If either side betrays this truce, the consequences will be severe." Jake thought quickly. "I'll transmit live video of the entire operation to both your ships. Everyone will see exactly what's happening. No one can claim the other side is doing something wrong." "Acceptable," both commanders said. Dr. Parker stepped forward. "There's one more thing. The surgery will take several hours. Both medical teams will need to work very closely together. They'll have to trust each other completely, or Emma will die." The weight of that statement hung in the air. Two species that had been enemies for centuries would have to put aside their hatred and work together to save one small human girl. "We understand," Commander Corvain said. "The Krillian Empire gives its word," Battlelord Drakmor added. Jake felt tears in his eyes. "Thank you, both of you. You're giving my daughter a chance to live." As preparations began for the most unlikely medical operation in galactic history, Jake returned to Emma's bedside. She was still unconscious, but her breathing seemed a little stronger. "Hang in there, sweetheart," he whispered. "Help is coming. Help from people who were enemies until they met you." Emma's hand moved slightly, as if she could hear him. Jake squeezed it gently and prayed that love really could conquer hate, even between alien species that had forgotten how to trust each other. The medical bay of the New Horizon had never seen anything like this before. Dr. Ryan Parker watched in amazement as two alien medical teams worked together to set up equipment that seemed to come from science fiction movies. Zira Voss, the Zephyrian medical officer, moved gracefully around the room with her 4 arms. Her crystal-like body sparkled as she connected delicate instruments that hummed with soft blue energy. These machines would control the air, temperature, and pressure around. Emma, during the surgery. Lock Venthera, the Krillian biosurgeon, was very different from his Zephyrian counterpart. His large reptilian body moved carefully as he unpacked surgical tools that looked both advanced and frightening. His clawed hands were surprisingly gentle as he prepared the instruments that would save Emma's life. "The environmental controls are ready," Zira announced. Her voice sounded like music, even when speaking the human language. "The surgical area will have perfect conditions for human brain tissue." "Good," Venthera replied. His voice was deep and rough, but not unfriendly. "I have prepared the biomanipulation tools. They will repair the damaged tissue without harming healthy areas." Dr. Parker watched the two aliens work together. Just hours ago, they had been enemies ready to destroy each other. Now they were cooperating to save a child's life. "Is there anything I can do to help?" Parker asked. "Yes," Zira said. "We need you to monitor the human life signs during the operation. You understand her physiology better than we do. And if something goes wrong, you must tell us immediately," Ventura added. "Human reactions might be different from what we expect." Parker nodded. "I'll do whatever you need." Captain Jake Morrison stood in the corner of the medical bay, watching the preparations. Emma lay on the surgical table, still unconscious, looking so small and fragile. The alien medical equipment surrounded her like a protective cocoon. "Are you ready to begin?" Jake asked. Zira and Ventura looked at each other. Despite their cooperation, there was still tension between them. Centuries of war could not be forgotten in a few hours. "We are ready," Zira said. "But Battlelord Drakmor has requested that we establish a communication link with both fleets during the operation." "Commander Corvain has made the same request," Ventura added. "Both sides want to observe the surgery to ensure there is no betrayal." Jake understood. Even though they were working together, neither side fully trusted the other. "That's fine. Amy, set up the video links to both ships." Amy Chun's voice came over the communication system. "Video links established, Captain. Both fleets can see and hear everything in the medical bay." On the crystalline blade, Commander Corvain and his officers watched the medical bay through their main screen. They could see their medical officer working alongside the Krillian surgeon. "This is historic," one of his officers said. "No Zephyrian has ever worked this closely with a Krillian before. Look how carefully the Krillian is handling the instruments," another officer observed. "He's not the savage monster we were told about." Corvain nodded. He was thinking the same thing. The Krillian surgeon moved with precision and care, nothing like the brutal warrior they had been taught to expect. On the Iron Fang, Battlelord Drakmor and his crew watched the same scene. They could see their biosurgeon working with the Zephyrian. "Medical officer, the Zephyrian is quite skilled," Drakmor's second-in-command observed. "Her environmental controls are perfect. And she's not trying to harm our surgeon," another officer said. "Maybe they're not as deceptive as we thought." Drakmor grunted in agreement. The Zephyrian was working with complete honesty, focused, entirely on helping the human child. In the medical bay, the surgery began. Zira activated the environmental controls, creating a perfect bubble of controlled conditions around Emma. The air became perfectly clean, the temperature exactly right, and the pressure carefully adjusted for human physiology. "Environmental field is stable," Zira reported. "All conditions are optimal for surgery." Ventura moved his clawed hands over Emma's head, not quite touching her skin. His biomanipulation abilities let him see inside her skull without making any cuts. "I can see the damaged areas," he said. "The brain tissue is swollen, but it's not destroyed. I can repair this." "Proceed with the surgery," Dr. Parker said. "Her life signs are stable." What happened next was like watching magic. Ventura's hands glowed with a soft green light as he used his biomanipulation powers to carefully enter Emma's skull. He could work on the brain tissue without cutting through skin or bone. "I am reducing the swelling first," Ventura explained. "The pressure on her brain is decreasing." "Good," Zira said. "The environmental field is compensating for the changes. Everything remains stable." Dr. Parker watched his instruments. "Her brain pressure is dropping. Whatever you're doing, it's working." On both alien ships, the crews watched in fascination. They had never seen their medical officers work together before. The cooperation was perfect. "Look at that," a Zephyrian officer said. "They're working like they've been a team for years." "The Krillian is incredibly skilled," another added. "I had no idea they could be so gentle." On the Krillian ship, the crew was equally impressed. "Our surgeon is working perfectly with the Zephyrian," one officer said. "She's anticipating his needs before he even asks. This is what we could accomplish if we work together," another officer said quietly. The surgery continued for 3 hours. Venthera carefully repaired the damaged brain tissue while Zyra maintained perfect environmental conditions. Dr. Parker monitored Emma's vital signs, reporting any changes to both alien doctors. "The repair work is almost complete," Venthera announced. "The brain tissue is healing well. Environmental conditions remain perfect," Zyra added. "The human child is responding well to the treatment." Jake Morrison watched his daughter's face. For the first time in hours, she looked peaceful instead of pained. "Is she going to be okay?" Jake asked. "The surgery is successful," Venthera said. "Her brain function should return to normal. But she will need rest," Zyra added. "The healing process will take time." As the surgery ended, both alien doctors stepped back from the table. They looked at each other, and for the first time, there was respect in their eyes instead of hatred. "Thank you," Venthera said to Zyra. "Without your environmental controls, I could not have saved her. And without your surgical skills, my technology would have been useless," Zyra replied. "We make a good team." The words hung in the air. A Zephyrian and a Krillian had just called each other teammates. On both ships, the crews were silent. They had watched their enemies work together to save a life. They had seen cooperation instead of conflict, healing instead of destruction. Emma Zez' eyes fluttered open. She looked around the medical bay, confused by all the strange equipment and alien faces. "Dad," she said weakly. Jake rushed to her side. "I'm here, sweetheart. You're going to be okay." Emma looked at Zyra and Venthera. "Are you the doctors who helped me?" "Yes, little one," Zyra said in her musical voice. "How do you feel?" "My head doesn't hurt anymore," Emma said. She smiled at both alien doctors. "Thank you for making me better." Venthera's reptilian features softened. "You are welcome, young human. You are very brave." Emma's innocent smile affected everyone in the room. Here was a child who didn't see enemies or aliens. She just saw two people who had helped her when she needed it most. "Can I hug you?" Emma asked both doctors. Zyra and Venthera looked at each other, surprised by the request. Neither species was used to physical affection from other races. But Emma's innocent request touched something deep inside both of them. "Of course," Zyra said, carefully leaning down so Emma could wrap her small arms around the Zephyrian's crystal body. Venthera hesitated for a moment, then knelt beside the bed. Emma hugged him too, not afraid of his reptilian appearance or sharp teeth. "You're both really nice," Emma said. "Why do people say you're enemies?" The question hit both alien doctors like a physical blow. How could they explain centuries of war to a child who only saw kindness? "Sometimes adults make mistakes," Zyra said carefully. "Sometimes we forget that we're all just trying to take care of our families." "That's silly," Emma said. "You should be friends instead of fighting." Dr. Parker checked Emma's medical readings one more time. "Everything looks perfect. She's completely healed." Jake Morrison felt tears of relief running down his face. His daughter was alive and healthy, thanks to two enemies who had become allies for her sake. "I don't know how to thank you both," Jake said. "You saved my daughter's life." "You don't need to thank us," Venthera said. "Protecting children is what good people do, no matter what species they belong to." "Your daughter taught us something important today," Zyra added. "She showed us that cooperation is stronger than conflict." Amy Chun's voice came over the communication system. "Captain, both fleet commanders are requesting to speak with you." "Put them through," Jake said. Commander Corvain's musical voice filled the medical bay. "Captain Morrison, we are pleased that your daughter has recovered. Our medical officer has reported complete success. Battlelord Drakmor's deep voice followed. The Krillian Empire is honored to have helped save your child. Our biosurgeon has never worked with such skilled partners. Both alien doctors straightened, with pride at the praise from their commanders. Thank you both, Jake said. Your people have shown incredible kindness and skill. Emma is à leave. 3 days had passed since the surgery, and Emma Morrison was completely healthy again. She spent her time drawing new pictures and asking her father questions about the alien doctors who had saved her life. The New Horizon had been repaired and was ready to continue its journey back to human space. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, looking at the 2 alien fleets that still remained nearby. Neither the Zephyrians nor the Krillians had left the area. Both commanders had requested several meetings to discuss what had happened during Emma's surgery. Captain, Amy Chun said from her communication station, Commander Corvain is requesting another private meeting with Battlelord Drakmor. They want to use our ship as neutral ground again. Of course, Jake replied. Set up the conference. Room for them. Over the past 3 days, the 2 alien commanders had met several times aboard the New Horizon. Each meeting lasted longer than the previous one. Jake didn't know what they were discussing, but he could see that both fleets were behaving differently toward each other. Dr. Ryan Parker joined Jake on the bridge. Emma wants to say goodbye to her alien friends before we leave. Is that possible? I'll ask them, Jake said. He activated the communication system. Commander Corvain, Battlelord Drakmor, my daughter would like to speak with her medical officers before we depart. Of course, both commanders replied immediately. Within minutes, Ziravas and Loch Venthera had transported to the New Horizon. Emma was waiting for them in the medical bay, holding 2 new drawings she had made. I made these for you, Emma said, showing them the pictures. One drawing showed a crystal creature and a reptile creature working together to help a small human. The other showed all 3 species standing together under a bright sun. These are beautiful, Zira said, her musical voice filled with emotion. You draw us as friends. That's because you are friends, Emma said matter-of-factly. You helped each other help me. That's what friends do. Ventura knelt down to Emma's level. Little one, you have taught us something very important. Before we met you, we thought our species could never work together. You showed us we were wrong. Will you keep being friends after I leave? Emma asked. Zyra and Venthera looked at each other. In the past 3 days, they had spent many hours talking together, sharing knowledge about medicine and technology. They had discovered that they had much more in common than either had expected. We are going to try, Zyra said. Our commanders are discussing ways our species might cooperate instead of fighting. That's wonderful. Emma clapped her hands together. Maybe someday I can visit both your planets. You would be welcome on the Zephyrian homeworld any time, Zira said. And the Krillian Empire would be honored to host you, Venthera added. Emma hugged both alien doctors one more time. Thank you for saving my life, and thank you for becoming friends. As the alien medical officers prepared to leave, Dr. Parker spoke to them privately. What you 2 accomplished together was miraculous, he said. You saved Emma's life, but you also proved that cooperation between your species is possible. The human child saved us too, Zira replied. She saved us from a war that had no purpose except to continue old hatreds. Her innocence reminded. U.S. that there are more important things than fighting, Venthera added, like protecting those who cannot protect themselves. After the alien doctors returned to their ships, Jake received a final communication from both commanders. Captain Morrison, Commander Corvain said, the Zephyrian fleet would like to escort your ship safely back to human space. It is the least we can do for the family that brought peace to our fleets. The Krillian Empire extends the same offer, Battlelord Drakmor added. Your daughter has done something that diplomats could not accomplish in 2 centuries of trying. Thank you. Both, Jake replied. But what about your war? Won't your governments be angry if you work together? There was a pause before Commander Corvain answered. We have decided to report this incident as a minor skirmish with no significant military outcome. Neither side gained advantage over the other. However, Battlelord Drakmor continued, we have also agreed to establish secret communication channels between our fleets. Perhaps there will be future opportunities for cooperation. Jake smiled. Emma will be very happy to hear that. The journey back to human space took 2 weeks. During that time, Jake watched in amazement as the 2 alien fleets worked together to escort the New Horizon. They shared navigation data, coordinated their patrol routes, and even assisted each other when minor technical problems arose. Emma spent the journey drawing pictures of their alien escorts and asking endless questions about their cultures and homeworlds. Jake promised her that someday, when she was older, they might be able to visit both alien worlds. Do you think they'll still be friends when I grow up? Emma asked one evening as they watched the alien ships through the bridge windows. I think they will, Jake said. You helped them remember something they had forgotten. What's that? That being different doesn't make you enemies. Sometimes it makes you stronger when you work together. On the final day of their journey, as human space came into view, both alien commanders contacted the New Horizon one last time. Captain Morrison, Commander Corvain said, this has been an honor. Your daughter has given our species a gift that we will never forget. The Krillian Empire agrees, Battlelord Drakmor added. Please tell your daughter that she will always be remembered as the human child who brought peace to ancient enemies. Emma pressed her face against the bridge window, waving at both alien fleets. Goodbye. Don't forget to be nice to each other. As the alien ships turned to leave, Jake saw something that would stay with him forever. The 2 fleets, instead of separating immediately, remained together for several more hours. They seemed reluctant to return to being enemies after experiencing what it was like to be allies. Dr. Parker joined Jake and Emma on the bridge as they watched the alien ships finally part ways. Do you think this will really change anything? Parker asked. Will it make a difference in their war? Jake thought about everything he had witnessed. 2 species that had fought for centuries had learned to trust each other because they wanted to save his daughter. Their medical officers had become friends. Their crews had worked together. Their commanders had found common ground. I think it already has made a difference, Jake said. Maybe not everywhere, and maybe not all at once. But seeds have been planted. What kind of seeds? Emma asked. The kind that grow into friendships, Jake replied. The kind that make people remember that cooperation is better than conflict. 3 months later, Jake Morrison was reading the latest intelligence reports from the frontier regions when he came across something that made him smile. There had been several reports of Zephyrian and Krillian fleets avoiding each other instead of engaging in battle. Some reports even mentioned cases of mutual assistance during natural disasters and rescue operations. The war was still ongoing officially, but something had changed. Small groups of both species were finding ways to work together, always reporting their encounters as minor incidents with no military significance. Jake kept all of these reports in a special file. Someday, when Emma was older, he would show them to her. He would tell her how her simple act of bringing 2 enemies together had started a chain reaction across the galaxy. Emma, now 9 years old, still drew pictures of alien friends working together. She often asked when they could visit the Zephyrian and Krillian homeworlds. Jake always told her someday soon, and he was beginning to believe it might actually be possible. One evening, as Emma was getting ready for bed, she asked her father a question that surprised him. Dad, do you think other people could do what the alien doctors did? What do you mean? Could other enemies become friends if they tried to help someone together? Jake tucked his daughter into bed and thought about her question. I think they could, sweetheart. I think that's exactly what. You showed everyone. Good, Emma said sleepily. Everyone should be friends. Fighting is just silly. As Jake turned off the lights in Emma's room, he reflected on how a simple research mission had changed everything. His daughter's accident had brought together two enemy species and shown them that cooperation was possible. Her innocence had cut through centuries of hatred and prejudice. But most importantly, Emma had proven something that would echo throughout the galaxy for generations to come, that love and compassion are truly universal languages, understood by every intelligent species, regardless of their differences. The New Horizon continued its journey through space, carrying a little girl who had no idea she had just planted the seeds of peace between ancient enemies. And somewhere, in the vast darkness between the stars, two alien fleets were learning to trust each other. One small act of cooperation at a time. Jake Morrison looked out at the stars and smiled. His daughter had saved more than just her own life. She had saved the future of three species, proving that sometimes the smallest person can make the biggest difference in the universe. In years to come, historians would mark this as the beginning of the great peace between the Zephyrian Alliance and the Krillian Empire. But Jake would always remember it as the day his 8-year-old daughter taught the galaxy that love is stronger than hate, and that even the worst enemies can become the best friends when